Making the world a better place, day 12,460. All right, so today's gonna be really special, guys. We are gonna help out a single mom in need. We are gonna fix her old motorcycle that is not running. We're gonna bring it back to life for her. So this lady, she's super nice. She's a good family friend. She's a good friend of my mom. Well, over the last few years, some tough times found her. She's been dealt kind of a rough hand, and it was no fault of her own. But she has this old motorcycle, and it hasn't gotten any attention in the last few years. With everything happening, I mean, it's just sat there. It hasn't been started. It hasn't been ridden. So last week, I was trying to think of people I knew who had motorcycles that probably needed some work. You know, I was looking for somebody to help that I could just fix their stuff up, and she came to mind. So I sent her a text, said, hey, if you still got that motorcycle, can I work on it for you? Can I bring that thing back to life? Totally free. And she was ecstatic, super surprised. I'm sure that's the last text she expected to get. So I went there last night. I picked up the motorcycle. I've got it here right now. So let me clear the runway and I'll bring this beauty out for you. Ooh-wee. All right, so what we have here is a 1980 Suzuki GS250T. Now, what does the T stand for? Well, seemingly turd right now. This thing is bad. This thing is bad. It is 10 times worse than I thought it would be. But we've never had a cycle that's beaten us yet, so we're not gonna start with this one. We are gonna go through this whole thing and get her back to daily riding status. So let me give you a closer look and we'll kind of evaluate what we've got here. Oh dear. Oh my goodness gracious. Now, it might not look too bad in the footage here, but I'll get some close-ups for you and, oh, it'll make you squirm a little bit. So everything is certainly very dirty. There is no doubt about that. You know, we've got some gas leakage and stuff that you can see, kind of made some residue all over that. No battery whatsoever, but I've already picked up a new one. It's charging now. Yeah, a bunch of the controls are kind of frozen and there's rust everywhere. Oh dear. Initially, the front brake and the clutch were just locked up, but I just pressed them really hard and they kind of unfroze. So seemingly the levers are working now. Looks like we've got the old wonky mirror there. That's all right. That tends to happen. Hopefully these gauges and everything still work. The gas tank, I'm sure we're gonna have to go through and pitch all that old fuel. Well, and then some other fun stuff I was seeing. You can see that something was eating some sunflower seeds on here. There's some mouse droppings and stuff. And then if I look in here, I think behind this case, you can almost start to see I think something was making a nest in there, so maybe today we will find that mouse nest. Yeah, more mouse droppings and stuff, so it's possible some mice might have went up in there and chewed through all of our wires here. This bike is not going to be easy for us. I think it's going to be very difficult. This is certainly the most extensive project we've taken on recently. I mean, roughest condition, it's the oldest, but we'll see what we can't do. The reward is going to be great though. If I can get this thing looking all pretty, running perfectly, and give it back to her, that'll just be so awesome. She'll be happy, I'll be happy. So we're going to see if we can make a miracle happen. My name's Michael, welcome to the channel. Let's get to work. All right, I just got my working station set up. Let me walk you through it. So I got just my basic toolkit. That should be enough for everything that we're gonna do. We've got the rubber gloves, shop towels, couple different rags, WD-40, chain lube, chain wax, contact cleaner, silicone lube, brake cleaner, carb cleaner, brake fluid, grease, Neverdol, 1500 grit sandpaper, gloves, a knife, scissors, long needle nose, bucket for old gas and the fresh gas. So I think first off, that thing needs a bath. I just need to clean that thing so that we can actually see what we're working with. And if you see me drenched in sweat today, the high is 100 degrees, the humidity is 90%. It's 11 a.m. and it's already 94 out. It's gonna be brutal. All right, the initial bath is complete here. You know, I noticed that we do have a completely flat tire up on the front here. The rear is still holding air, but I'm gonna put some air in these just to kind of get an idea. We might replace the tubes and tires and everything as well, but at least I'll air them up for now. Now, since this bike is 45 years old and there's signs of mice, rodents, and stuff may have gotten into it, we are gonna start with the engine, the carburetor, the airbox, spark. I wanna square those away and make sure I can get this motorcycle running before I touch tires, controls, brakes. Sometimes I'll start with the small stuff and then work into the motor when I have a project that I'm very confident about. And I don't have as much confidence with this one. So let's just start ripping into it and see what we see. Oh, and with this bike being older, it does have a center stand. I'm gonna put the bike on that. Well, and we are definitely gonna put on the rubber gloves for this one, because if there's some dead mice and all kinds of droppings and stuff in there, I might want these. Oh, well, I think we'll start with the old 12mm today. Oh, baby. How is that on there so tight? That's just the bolt for the seat. It's not a good start. Well, that one was on a lot softer. Okay. A little mismatched torque, I think. We're gonna find lots of surprises with this. Now, before I take this seat, the side cover, all that stuff, let me just say that I am not scared of bugs, mice, snakes, rodents. It's just when you don't expect them, sometimes they catch you off guard. Moving on. Whoa! So the turn signals are held on by the seat as well. Interesting. Oh, what are we gonna see? I'm scared! Okay, I had seen some little seeds and stuff. I thought we were gonna find some mice. Nope, we're fine. Well, and always these old bikes, the mechanics are always interesting on this, but the airbox lid here has these little metal, I don't know, little brackets, and you slide them. So, and that's what pinches that together. That's super interesting. Oh, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. We found the mouse nest. Oh, baby, look at that. That's a mouse mansion in there. And they ate every morsel of the air filter. Okay, very good. Why wouldn't they? Oh my gosh, that's so bad. We got this. Well, I guess I'll pull the gas tank off here so I can get kind of better access to everything. Push this little hose off of our petcock. Never see size 13. Oh, you can hear the ambulance. They probably heard me scream when I found that mouse nest. Well, so I wonder, will this just lift up? Maybe? Is it really that easy? I wonder when the last time this was taken off. Sweet. All right, gas tank up. Well, so I guess I'm gonna just pull these carburetors out here, so I'll loosen up my throttle cable so I can get that out of there. And then this motorcycle uses a 2-carb setup, so it's 2 carbs kind of connected. This bike is a parallel twin cylinder. There we go, we're free there. Well, and then I'll loosen up the boots on the engine side here, and then I'll loosen up these clamps on the airbox side. And so this is a hex bolt right here. On the other side, it's a Phillips head, and then on the back side, it uses straight screwdriver bits. So over the years, this bike acquired quite the collection of nuts and bolts, which is not uncommon to see. Hey, as long as everything is not stripped out, the mismatched bolts, you know, that doesn't bother me too bad, but it does slow things down just a touch. Yeah, that fuel line that I unhooked, I only ever unhooked it from the gas tank. I never did unhook it from the carburetor. The end just crumbled in my hand right there. And then I can see on the fuel rail here, the end of the end of that tube is just like rotted on there. Nice. All right, well, let me unbolt the air box here, and then I'll try and slide that back a little so then I can take this carb rack out. It's like an electrical plate here. Well, it's just a metal plate, but all the electronics and stuff, some different resistors are bolted onto that, but I think if I just loosen this, I can let it just kind of hang there. Maybe. On stuff that's this bad and this old, it's certainly hard to plan how to do things or what to anticipate, what to expect. All right, well, that's all loose there, so I think we're good. And we've got just a random ground wire on there. Very good. Oh, man. Oh, baby. All right, well, ideally, hopefully, this will just kind of pull back off those carbs. Yep, it certainly did. If I can just wiggle this out of those boots there. Yep. Old rubber is not very pliable. All right, let's see. Can I pinch that back a little more? Maybe this side a little bit more. Okay, they're loose. Which side do I want to go to? I'm gonna go towards you. I think, maybe, sure. You're almost there, baby. Come on. Okay, carburetors are out. Well, so we've got our carbs out here. There's that one little hose that had just completely broken and rotted off, if you can see that right there. On the engine side, then there's a little screen type deal just on one of them. It was not on the other one. Is that supposed to be there? Is that from the factory? I think it is from the factory because there's a little recession right here, but certainly the other one got lost somewhere. Sometime in the last 45 years, the other one disappeared. So to make things symmetrical, I'm probably gonna leave this out. I have no idea what function this performs. Somebody chime in the comments if you know what this little metal screen does. Why did they use that in 1980? Why is that there? All right, so this is good. So I'm fighting with this air box, right? And I was like, I just can't find a space where it could get out of there. There's not enough space in the front. I have all kinds of tabs, and then with the way the frame goes in the rear, there's not enough room there. I looked to see if I could take off the rear fender, the rear wheel, and fit it back through there. Well, it's not wide enough through there. So I'm going over to the other side and I'm looking, okay, it's the same thing. There's no possible way I can get it out. And did you know that for a 1980 Suzuki GS250T, you need to remove the engine in order to pull the airbox out? It goes forward. We're not removing the engine. But I absolutely need to clean the rat's nest out. So if you aren't gathering where this is going, I am gonna need to put my hand in there and clean out this whole... I cannot confirm that there are not mice in there. I think there's probably still mice in there. I do not want to do this. I guess I'm just gonna clean it out and then I'll take my shop vac and get in there and vacuum out any morsels that I don't get. This is crazy. And the smell is so bad in there. Like, I'm not squeamish, but that is just... I don't want to do this. Okay, we're doing it. Gosh. Please, please, please. Ah! There could be, I think there was some like dead rotting mice in there, but it's probably the reason for the smell. Oh. Well, all right, so the airbox is all cleaned out. I'll give you a look there. It's all vacuumed out. So, I mean, that's cleaner. But then the air filter, you know, that was all that's left of it, is just the frame, and even that, the mice ate out a few of the dividers, and then there was petrified dead baby mice on it. So anyways, that's been so much fun. I figured we'd rip into carburetors now and pull those apart, sync them up, clean them, rebuild them. So let's see how this goes. So on these carburetors, I was looking at just some of the Phillips bolts on the top here, and you can see that most all these are borderline twisted off. And if we look on the bottom, same thing. Gosh, if I can just get them out, we're in good shape. But if they twist off, or if I can't get them out, that's kind of it. I mean, we are dead in the water. So I will get a Phillips bit, the perfect size. If you get the exact size you need, you know, you have the lowest chance of stripping them out. But oh man, please, please, please. Okay, that one's just loose already. Interesting. That one wasn't too tight. Okay, loose. This one looks pretty bad, but we can get it out. Okay, that's 4 out of 8. 5 out of 8 are good. 6 out of 8 are good. 7 out of 8, please, 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 please. Okay, nice. Last one will be good too. I was just checking those. Let me check my bottom float bolts here. Again, there's 8 of them. Okay, 1 is loose, 2 is loose, 3 is loose, 4 is loose, 5 is loose, 6 is loose, 7 is loose, 8 is loose. Okay, holy cow, we are going to be able to get this apart. This is unbelievable. That was pretty scary to look at when I first saw those, but I guess we'll be in good shape. So let me just clean off a little bit. I'll get my carburetor cleaner going, and I'm just gonna start spraying stuff off. We'll kind of clean off and clean out what we have visible to us here, and then we'll pull off the bottoms. We'll get to the floats, the needles. We'll give them some love. All right, what will we see here? Nobody knows. Let's find out. Yeah, there's definitely dirt and debris. It looks like there's sand all over this one. Well, so let me pull these needles out of there if I can. Ugh, they're a little bit stuck. And these floats both seem to have good motion here. Pull my little needle out there as well, you can see. Why is that so hard? It should not be that hard to get the needle out. Wow. Okay, well, we got it. Just old stuff that hasn't been touched in a really long time. There we go. That one, okay. These are weird. They're like a square needle. I don't know if you can see that or not. Must have been how they did it back in the day. And what that needle and float does, as your gas tank is giving your carburetor fuel, once your carburetor has enough fuel, then that float, this is just hollow, that float goes up, it pushes down on that needle, and then that stops your carburetor from getting more fuel, so it doesn't overflow or start draining out. And these little carburetor gaskets, I'm just barely gonna touch the edge of one here with my knife and see if it's gonna come out of there in one piece or if it's gonna break on us. I do not want this thing to break because I do not know if they have carb rebuild kits readily available for this motorcycle. So we're just gonna be very careful. Ideally, I want to just reuse everything in here, clean it very good, and then put it back together. Okay, we got it out in one piece. That gasket is definitely old, but there's no rips in it. You know, as I was going through this carburetor, every single bolt and every jet on the inside you can see has had a screwdriver already on it. So somebody's been in this carb, obviously. I assumed they had been. The motorcycle's 45 years old, so at least once somebody was in here, but I think they were just torquing stuff a little bit too much. This brass is kind of deformed, which means that they might not have done stuff quite right. But okay, now that that is out, now I can go about cleaning this other half. The carbs are all back together. Everything is spick and span. I think that should work just fine. Well, it depends if everything else works just fine. So before I put those back in, I'm gonna get into those engine intakes. We'll take a look at those and clean those out as well. Oh, and my camera had stopped as I was cleaning the carbs. It overheated. It's too hot today. It was having the same thoughts I was. Difference there is I just haven't stopped yet. Alright, what do things look like? Well, actually not terrible. It's not like the mice made their way past the air filter or the air box, so. Alright, so with the air box loose, I'm gonna need the air box loose, obviously, to get these back in there. I'll push this back a little bit. Slide this over. We're very close. Turn the cap backwards here. We're getting serious. This is serious mode. Anytime the hat goes backwards. Okay, that one clicked in there. Very, very nice. Well, I guess at this point, let me just click the airbox side on as well. Square it away in one good swoop. Okay, a little bit more. That one looks on. That one's on. By golly, we got it. All right, well, let me tighten up my clamps on the front here. And I had taken the clamps from the airbox off, but let me go snag those. Well, and you may have seen I did put a new fuel line. I haven't cut this to size, but I wanted to just hook that up before I have the tank on, just so I have good access to those carburetors where that fuel line hooks to. So I guess I'll need to have this threaded up through here. So I haven't cut this to size. You know, I obviously just put a longer piece than I needed. So I'll kind of just loop this over, let it sit on the side. And then once I get our gas tank back on with the fresh gas in it, then we'll cut this to the right size. We'll put that fuel filter back in, and then we'll cut another little chunk to go from the petcock to that fuel filter and complete our line. Well, so I guess I'll dump the old fuel. This petcock has a prime position, and so that prime position surpasses the vacuum stop in the petcock. So essentially you could fill up, and we'll use that prime position on the petcock to fill our carburetors because they're completely empty. So once we have that fresh gas, I'll try and show you when we do that. We'll put it in the prime position and you'll see the gas run down that line. We'll let it fill up those carbs, and then we can turn it to the regular on position, which will operate off the vacuum, the suction that the engine creates. And so that will essentially act as the fuel pump, pulling fresh gas from the tank to the carbs. All right, so all the old gas is drained, so we're just gonna recreate, gosh, these old fuel lines. That is terrible. I mean, this is crazy. They just crumbled in my hands. Huge split down the whole thing. Yeah, that's absurd. Okay, so my first piece needs to be about this long, so I'll just take my scissors and I'll go cut that piece. All right, and then my other piece doesn't need to be too long. We'll make it 1/2 inch longer than it was. Always err on the side of more fuel line. And yes, this clear line, a lot of people haven't seen, I guess, clear fuel lines, but yeah, this is clear fuel line. It's approved for all different kinds of gases, ethanol, everything like that. But I like the clear line because then I can just look at my fuel lines and I can instantly tell if I'm getting fuel flow or not. Looks perfect, and then I can just let that sit right there. We'll get our fuel tank over here and then we'll hook that up. All right, fuel tank going back on. Maybe we'll hook the fuel lines back up. Who knows? Almost, okay. Looking good. Okay. I like that. We can work with that. Hook up our other vacuum line. It's on there. All right. Oh yeah, we're in business. Well, so I gotta hook up the throttle cable here. Should have done this earlier. All right, well, I guess let's put a little fuel in her now. Fuel! Well, and so I won't fill it completely full of fuel. We'll put about 1 gallon in it, and then we'll look over our fuel lines here. We'll make sure nothing's leaking, that we did good work there. Well, and we just need to pause for the cause and rehydrate. You're probably like, why is he wearing long sleeves? Because I was wearing no shirt all of yesterday in the sun, so I'm fried, I have to. And then this one is just a lukewarm water. Yeah, that was necessary. Okay, back to work. All right, so let's evaluate. Where are we at? What have we done? Gas tank's back on. We have fresh gas in it. We went through the carburetor, cleaned everything. We should have good fuel flow. We replaced all those fuel lines. Now, we don't have an air filter in it. The mice did what they wanted to with that. But I do have that metal screen. We put the lid back on the airbox, so I should be getting the right amount of airflow, or close to it. Certainly enough to run, and of course we won't run this motorcycle very much until we get an actual air filter back in it, because otherwise we're just gonna have to clean the carbs, redo everything that we did there. I think before I put the seat on or anything like that, I might just put some jumper cables from my pickup hook them up to this thing. I don't know, we'll turn the key, we'll see what lights we get, we'll decide if we want to crank it or not. We're gonna push this over there, get it hooked up, but first I'll show you how that prime feature works on that carburetor in the petcock. So let's see, there's our fuel line right there, and if I turn this to the prime position over here, we should see that fill with fuel. Let's see. Yep, did you see it there? All right, put just a little rag down for the terminals and everything. Since there's no battery, I'm just hooking this straight up to cables. Yeah, let's turn on the key here. Absolutely nothing. Totally nothing. So, this is a worst case scenario because mice have chewed through wires or something, and we don't know where they are. We don't know what is ruined, but we are totally dead in the water right now. I'm gonna try and find some fuses, and we'll check some fuses here. I found it. That little guy right there, totally blown. So this is the fuse right after the positive battery cable. Yeah, there's like a crack in the glass. That 100% is our problem. So let me go I guess to the auto parts store, and I'll see if they have one of these. All right, finally, we're back with a new glass fuse from the hardware store. That was funny. I went in there, I was like, hey, do you guys have glass fuses? They're like, what? I haven't heard that term in forever. But they had the exact one I needed. I think they called it a microwave fuse. But anyways, so let's just slide this back in its home. Definitely something from the past, but okay. All right, so our new glass fuse is in. My goodness, it is so hot. Chugging water's like crazy. What I really want is an ice cold beer, but until the motorcycle's running, no cold beers. So I'm trying to hurry. All right, so trying this all again. We're hooked up there. Right? Please, please. Lights. We've got lights. We've got lights. I see neutral, oil. Oh, we've even got a turn signal on. All right. What do I need to do? All right. Fuel is on. We have no leaks. I do have a choke, so I'm going to pull that out as I crank it here. And let's just see. I'll prime the throttle. Let's see what happens. Instantly! Well, I certainly feel like a hero right now. Let me give it a few RPMs. We'll see how it sounds. We'll see if it revs up, if we have proper fueling throughout the rev range. We got it right, so I'm gonna turn it off now. All right, back at my little workbench here. Now the bike is running, so we're allowed to have one cold beverage. Now granted, it is a very large cold beverage, but I think I deserve that, maybe, possibly. Okay. Ugh. Scoop my stump. I'm like literally sitting on like a tree stump. Okay, so here's the situation that we're in. They do still make air filters for a 1980 GS250T. Takes about 2 weeks for one to get to me, and then it costs way more than it should. So we're gonna make an air filter. So I've got a few different like furnace filters that I can experiment with, you know, essentially just set this on that, and that's my stencil. But I'm just curious, this is just an all-purpose heavy-duty sponge, and it gets good airflow. I can like hear my breath, I can breathe out through it. So I want to cut this in half and just hold it up to this and kind of see what it looks like. I think that's the freaking one. Okay, let me just set that on there. And we're just gonna cut around him now, I guess.
No matter where you're from, all around the world,
now the edges can condense in, you know, so that's why I don't need that shape to be perfect. But it looks good to me. So I'm gonna put a bead of super glue down the center, And then I'm just gonna put a bead of super glue all around the perimeter of this. I'm gonna set it on the sponges. We'll wait a bit, and then I'm gonna put this in. Because you can see from the shape of the factory airbox there's like a lip where this goes up against, and then there's a lip where the bottom of the filter, there's like a recession that it sits, and it's about an inch or so thick. And I'm just over an inch there, maybe an inch and a quarter, and so I think that's gonna perfectly sit and perform all of our filtration properties. Let me get the glue. Like, as janky as this seems, I mean, it's really gonna swell up and fill all that airbox space really well. This might be a better air filter than the stock one was. I just made an air filter. And then I almost like that the cross members here are eaten out, you know, from the mice that were living in there. There's like a little souvenir from the past, you know? Boy, that's good. We're gonna throw it in. All right, the air filter is going in. I think you need to kind of fold these in a little bit to get them in here. Now I just need to find the grooves. It's so perfect. Oh my goodness, I'll give you a look here. So, and then you can see I put the frame behind, you know, under that little groove that it goes in there. You can see it on the sides, it fills it out. It's hilarious. So I do have this side cover. The reason that you never saw that on, the little key, the locking mechanism, it was all bent up and it was kind of half broke, and so I was working to fix that, and I think I've got it fixed now. Let me grab it. Okay. It's all back together. We made the air filter for it with our heavy duty all-purpose sponges. Went through the carburetor, we got the battery in it. Everything should be hooked up and routed correctly. Now we get to find out if it starts under its own power. This runs like as good as it did like when it was brand new from the factory. Alright, and I got the gloves back on here. So 2 more things I'm gonna do tonight yet. I definitely want to clean the chain. It seems like it's about at the right tension. We might tighten it a little bit. And then I wanna flush the brakes. Since we have a disc brake system up on the front, you know, I just want to get all that old fluid out of there. We will pump fresh stuff through it. And yeah, we'll square away this chain. This is hard to tell. I mean, it has good motion to it. It seems nice and limp, but there's just so much grease and dirt and mud and just rust I know is under there. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm just gonna spray WD-40 all over this chain. I wanna cut through all this stuff and I wanna clean it just down to the chain. Once I've got it all cleaned up, then we will lubricate it, we will wax it and seal it. So all I'm gonna do is just with WD-40, I press the button really slow. I try and get it, because if I press it fast, it just sprays right out. But if I press it slow, it'll kind of do this like foam bath all over the chain, and that's what I want. I want it to really soak and just penetrate through everything that's on there. Once I get it good and soaked, I'll let it sit for just a minute, and then we'll get the rags out, we'll get the cleaners, and we'll really scrub this. So now our chain is so much cleaner. Oh my gosh, it looks stainless the whole way around. So that is awesome. So now the product I'm gonna use, since we've cleaned it with the WD-40, wiped it all down, it's all dry. So now I will use this DuPont Chain Saver. So this is a lubricant, and well, it's a wax-based lubricant, and it has a non-stick ceramic technology. Anyways, this stuff is like $7, $10, I don't know, something around that. It has a ball in it, you shake it like a can of spray paint, and then I'll just spray it over the chain so it goes on. It's a light mist. It almost sprays on like lube or WD-40 would. Then it becomes not tacky, it hardens on there. And this stuff, just water, dirt, just falls off the chain. You can get this stuff off Amazon. I'll put a link to it in the description. Spray a light mist. And I said it in another video, but this stuff smells like a tanning salon. It does smell like coconuts and sunshine. That looks good for me. I think the can's gone. We might as well just deplete it. And that's it. Spitted and sputtered out. Let me get some fresh rubber gloves and I'll just kind of wipe some of the stuff off this sprocket, some of the stuff off the rim, but I don't want to put a rag back on the chain. I want to keep all that wax on there, so I'll just kind of take all the residue off everything else. The sun is down. I've got about 15 minutes left, but that's fine. I've only got 10 minutes of work. So we're going to bleed the brakes since we have disc brakes on the front of this cycle. So what I'm going to do is just take off the cap of the reservoir. Probably gonna turn that over to the side because I want that to be as level as it can be. Oh, that's gonna take both hands to get off of there. But then what I'm gonna do is once I have the cap off that, I'll go down to our bleeder screw. So right on the caliper here, that is it. So I already put a hose on it, put it under the handle of that bucket. This is gonna be where the old brake fluid goes. And then with an 8mm wrench, as I press up on the front brake handle there to get some pressure on it, then I will open this screw. You'll see fluid come out. Once the fluid has come out as far as it's going to go, I close the screw before I let off the front brake. And so that whole cycle of pushing fluid through it, closing it, and I'll refill the reservoir up top as needed, but I'm just gonna do that until it is perfectly clear fluid running through this whole thing, and then that's gonna be a day. So after that is done, I'm gonna cook up some dinner, we're gonna go inside, and then we will begin day 2. Look at the brake fluid. Looks like coffee in there, should look like water. I am glad we're doing that. All right, day number 2. Oh, it's much cooler and it's cloudy. What a nice day. All right, so last night we finished up with the chain. I bled the brakes, and then this morning I did an oil change on the old girl. So today is gonna be all about getting this thing as pretty as we can. So the first thing I'm gonna start with is just some generic Lysol all-purpose cleaner. There's just so much crap and stuff on this. We just need to get it clean before I can really buff out that chrome and try and get rid of some of that rust and pitting. So let me just scrub this down for probably an hour or 2. So a lot of the chrome parts, you can see that they're gonna clean up fairly nicely in that chrome fender. I mean, that just looks mirrored on there. You know, a few little scratches and dents, but not too bad. The exhaust, you know, it's tarnished and stuff from over the years. We definitely have some scratches and things like that on it, but we'll make it look fairly good. The chrome on the head of the engine there, not too bad. These springs are gonna clean up nicely. I'll put a little more work into those, and then like the grab rail, this little chrome piece on the seat here, you know, your chrome signals, there's a little pitting there. I'll see what we can't do about that. But then that rear chrome fender, oh, we've got that looking good, the taillight. So now that the bike's all clean, we are gonna see what we can't do to some of that rust and stuff on the chrome. So I'm gonna use this stuff, it's called Never Dull. Now one of my old Harley buddies introduced me to this recently. This stuff is so good, it brings anything back to life. Now this can of it is like 50 years old, and so I got a brand new can. They still make it at $7 on Amazon. Links in the description. So here's the deal. This stuff works so good. And we have a motorcycle here that's, you know, there's definitely some rust on it. There's some parts that look a little bit janky. You know, it's a 1980 motorcycle. Enough said. So in 45 years, of course, things are gonna start to show their age. So as I'm going over different parts with this Never Dull, you know, I'm gonna be kind of selective of what I wanna go over with this. What I don't want is the bike to look like it has a new fender, a new headlight, a new grab rail, and then everything else looks 50 years old. So I want it to look tasteful. I want the bike to look in good condition, but to still show that it is a vintage cycle. So I'll just show you a little spot that I'm gonna work on with this Never Dull here. So on one of the mufflers, we've got some surface rust here. Let me bring you in. So if we get down here, you can see this surface rust and stuff that'll be in different places on the muffler there. And just rubbing it, I mean, it certainly doesn't come off, it doesn't budge, nothing. So I'll just show you guys exactly how this works on this one little spot, if I can get the lid off. So you pull the lid off and it just looks like fiberglass insulation, and you'll want to use rubber gloves for this here. So what I'm gonna do is just pull out a piece of this stuff here. We'll kind of rip off a little piece. You could take a big piece, you could take a small piece, it kind of depends what you're working on. So I'll just pull off a little piece like that. So this stuff, it almost has like a polish on it or something. So as we start rubbing it on the chrome, that chrome will get a little bit cloudy. It'll look like we're smearing wax on it or something. All right, well, that is working very good on those. So the chrome kind of looks all milky, so just with a clean rag here, I'm just using a shop towel, kind of wipe that off so you can inspect the same spot. So we did have some little spots of rust on there. One was about the size of a penny, the other was about the size of a dime. And if you come in here, the only thing left that we've got is just, I mean, there's just a couple little spots the size of a grain of sand. So that stuff does work very, very good. So yeah, I'm just gonna use that Never Dull on a few other little spots around here, really shine it up, and then I think we're about finished with this thing. Well, and so I think we've got the GS250T all ready to go. Now we got it running perfectly. I have not started the motorcycle today, so let me just turn the key. We gotta make sure that this is absolutely ready to be driven every day. Key on, looks good. Let's just hit the start button. Instantly starts up for a 1980, that's pretty good. Yeah, she sounds good. She runs good. The victory brew. Right as it's about to storm, that was perfect timing. So, and then I will be delivering this bike this evening back to its owner. Totally free. We will not accept 1 penny for what we did. And I think she's gonna be thrilled. I think she's gonna be ecstatic. I think this thing runs better than it ever has in its life. So that's super cool. You know, I enjoyed doing this very much. And we certainly had our trials and tribulations with this one, but it's just having a can-do attitude. Well, and we haven't found one that stumped us yet. So in the video description down below, I'll try and put links to all of the tools, all of the products that you saw us use on this bike. Most everything I get off Amazon, so it can be at your door in 1 or 2 days. But that should about wrap it up today. Another one in the books. So comment if you guys have any questions at all. Otherwise, like the video if you had fun today. Subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time.